I got to switch to this because on June 23rd, 2006, 52% of British voters decided that they had enough. They no longer wanted to take marching orders from unelected bureaucrats in Brussels, and they chose to leave the EU. Since then, elite globalists have thrown many roadblocks and never-ending scare tactics into the mix, and now some are even saying a watered-down version is being foisted upon the UK in the name of a soft Brexit that would ease the pain. But is this what the people voted for? Let's ask one of the architects of Brexit on whether Theresa May is on the verge of circumventing the voice of the British people. Here now, Fox News contributor, president of the European Freedom and Direct Democracy Group in Europe, in the European Parliament, Nigel Farage. Nigel, what is going on there? Now I'm hearing a vote of no confidence.
Yeah, the Prime Minister has agreed with the Brussels bureaucrats, not one of them elected, to a deal that will cost us between 40 and 60 billion sterling, that will keep us tied to all EU rules without having any say whatsoever. So this is taxation without representation, which brings back a few memories, I guess, for Americans. And she is no doubt going to finish up with Northern Ireland being treated separately to the rest of the UK. It is all in the hope of a future trade deal. But in the small print, the bureaucrats have written that even in a future trade deal, we should stay aligned to EU rules until 2030. I wish I was making this up. I'm not. And that means our prospects of trade deals with the USA or anywhere else has gone. As far as I'm concerned, Charles, this is not just the worst deal in history. It is a complete betrayal of the biggest democratic exercise in the history of my nation. And I now think this is so bad that the letters will go in and a vote of confidence is coming very, very soon in her.
So the way it looks from our side of the pond, that there's a lot of pressure within the Conservative Party. They're pushing back, and they may push back to the point where there is a vote of no confidence, or many will go ahead and accept whatever Theresa May puts on the table and then resign in protest. Which is the better route here? Because it feels like the British people are getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah, they really are. We're being shortchanged in a big, big way on Brexit. And what's more, there are millions of people who tend to vote Conservative who are saying, if this woman stays and this deal's intact, we will not vote at the next general election. We are opening up the door to radical socialism and Marxism under Jeremy Corbyn unless something is done. The right thing to do is to change leader, to get somebody who believes in Brexit, to get somebody who will stand up to these arrogant, thuggish, unelected bureaucrats here in Brussels. If she doesn't go, Brexit, I'm afraid, will not be delivered.
We've got a delay, so I'm going to ask you for. You talked about new leadership. Your name is always tossed around there. You are one of the architects of Brexit. And also in Italy, they resubmitted the same budget to the EU, more or less telling the same folks, that, hey, we are not going to take our marching orders from you also. You've ignited something on the continent there. Where does it end?
Well, I'll tell you what, as far as the next leader of the Conservative Party is concerned, it's not going to be me, because I'm seen to be an outsider. You know, I fought them from without because I was so frustrated with them. But I hope and pray that somebody sincere and genuine takes over, leads us towards Brexit. And if I can help someone do that, I absolutely will. Italy. I met today with the Italian League, you know, who were jointly in government. I was with the Five Star as well today. So I've talked to both wings today of that coalition government. They have resubmitted the budget that was sent back to them by the unelected bureaucrats. And you know something? The Greeks, when we faced this crisis 4 years ago, the Greeks collapsed in the face of the bureaucrats. The Italians will not be collapsing. And what we're seeing here is a sovereign nation state in Italy with an elected government really, really standing up to these bullies, boys, unlike Theresa May. Italy will not weaken.
I love it. Nigel, always a pleasure talking to you, even with the delay. Thank you very much. We'll be checking in with you very shortly.